Ọkwa Igbo kwuru okwu wee sio na oke ya anaghị alọ n'ụlọ ewu amụọ n'ọgbere. Ya mere ndị Ala Igbo Development Foundation ya bụ ADF jikpọkọ ndị nta akụkọ n'Enugu wee gwa ha okwu. Ha kwuru sio na ha achọghịzi ka a na-achịgharị efi wee na-agagharị n'ala Igbo gbaa gburugburu. Ya mere ha ji wee na-akpọku ụlọ iwu niile nke dị n'ala Igbo ka ha mee iwu ga-amachi ịchịgharị efi n'ala Igbo gbaa gburugburu, maka na ha kwuru wee sio na ahịa akara aka ekwesịghị iriwa ngwụrọ. Ha sikwara na ọ na-adị mkpa ka eme ihe kwesịrị ime, maka na eme ngwa ngwa emeghala ọdachi. Ya mere ha ji wee na-eti mkpu a na-asị ka ụlọ omebe iwu niile nke dị n'ala Igbo ka ha mee iwu nke ha dewokwara wee ye ụlọ iwu niile nke dị n'ala Igbo n'iji wee sị ha iwu a ha depụtara bụ maka imechi ma machie onye ọbụla ịchịgharị efi n'ala Igbo gbaa gburugburu. Ngwa na-egbughị oge ka anyị ga-enu ma kirikwanụ ka ihe niile a ji mee.
The team of Ala Igbo Development Foundation distinguished colleagues are here, led by Dr. Chukwu Okolo, to address the media on some issues, national issues they deemed expedient that they ought to address us for. It was an impromptu thing, but before we do that, I don't know if anybody let us, commit this event to God, the maker of all things. Shall we pray, please? Yes, somebody from Ala Igbo Foundation should lead us.
Okay, you are. In Jesus' precious name.
Amen.
Father, we give you thanks and praise for your faithfulness. Lord, we thank you, the maker of the heavens and earth, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, for your goodness and for your mercies. We thank you, Lord, for your people, the Igbo nation, a nation that you have created, a nation of people that you love, a nation of people that love you. To ourselves and to the world the decisions men want to take against us, for which we are standing in the gap and saying from your mouth that they will not succeed. Amen. Therefore, Lord, we ask you, Lord, for your presence in this meeting tonight. We ask you, Lord, for the exchange of views and ideas, that they be inspired by you. At the end of the day, let the Igbo nation and the entire world rejoice because of this. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Having said our prayers, please. Once again, I have the members of Ala Igbo Development Foundation, led by eminent, distinguished member of the academia, Dr. Chukwu Okolo, who is here with other members. May I invite him to just do a formal introduction of the members of the foundation that are here to address us.
Gentlemen of the press, it is humility mingled with profound joy that we are here to address you people on this auspicious day for something that is very important in order to stem the tide of the challenging times in Nigeria. The person who was supposed to lead this team today is the president of Ala Igbo Development Foundation, Professor Mawala. But he is unavoidably absent, and I am, as the chairman of ADF Enugu chapter, I am standing in for him. So with me here is a board member of the organization and an Amazon who has paid his dues for this country. I mean, her dues for this country, and has done more than a lot of men would have done I'm talking of no other person other than Chief Mrs. Maria Opo. Of course, when I said he, I just had to obey a chairman because he didn't know that Yuma had grown to becoming a he. Because no one can. The second person is the vice chairman of the Enugu chapter of ADF, architect Eric Eyuche. And of course, near him there is Mazi Ositadekma Ago. Ago is in charge of publicity in ADF Fund Advisory Committee. So he is also here with us. And on my right here is Barrister Max Osaka. He is the head of the legal bureau of Alibo Development Foundation, and also he is the chairman of ADF Abuja chapter, and also the chairman of the ADF committee on this anti-open grazing bill. And he flew in from Abuja this afternoon to be part of us. He was the person who brought the message of the chairman. So, Barrister welcome. And on the right here is Deacon Okechukwu. When the chairman said he should, somebody should pray from me, I said naturally Deacon should pray. And you can hear the level of prayer he gave to us. And he is the ADF membership secretary, and at the same time the secretary of the Enugu chapter. There are other members of ADF that are there, so but permit me to, as the chairman said, to just introduce those on the high table. Thank you.
May I honorably please invite the speaker or the presenter of today's paper, who has come to step in for the president of Alibo Development Foundation, and he's no other person, the man that flew from Abuja, Max Osaka Esquire, is the coordinator of ADF Legal Bureau, and of course the chairman of ADF Abuja, and of course that of the Anti-Open Grazing Bill Committee is also the chairman. May I invite Max Ozuaka to please present to the journalists why the Alibo Development Foundation is here.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists State Chapter, and Chairman of the ADF Enugu Chapter, and our Amazon, Lady Mrs. Maria Opo, Deputy Chairman of ADF Enugu, Architect Eric, and the Publicity Secretary of the ADF Anniversary Committee, Osita, Bishop of the House. I will go straight to the point, because the events that are unfolding in Nigeria today are not hidden to anybody. All of us are aware, one way or the other. There is no state in the southern part of this country that has not had a share of what the Fulani headsmen have been doing. But before I read clearly or expressly from the press statement, I'd like to draw the attention of the House to the fact that sometime last year, the House of Reps had a public hearing on a grazing bill at the national level. Thereafter, the Senate also had their own public hearing. And when ADF at the national level heard of it, we went there boldly and presented a paper, a memorandum, and we were very explicit and very bold in our presentation. We said, no, there is no way the country can enact a law to give legality and legitimacy to what is illegal. We made our position very clear. And to the glory of God, that bill appeared to have died at that level. But unfortunately, the way things are in this country, the executive now decided to go about smuggling those activities from the back door through executive action and executive orders. And we started hearing about grazing bills, grazing routes, grazing that, and all that. We've also seen what Benue State have done, what Ekiti State have done, what Taraba State have done, and the reaction of those who are concerned against what those states have done. And we are aware that the states in the southeast have also been victims of the activities of cattle herdsmen. And ADF feels that it is extremely important, as a matter of fact, urgent, that the states' houses of assembly in the southeast, not just the southeast, but in every place where Igbo language is spoken in this country, should come together and enact laws that will checkmate the activities of these cattle herdsmen. So, ladies and gentlemen, by way of introduction, we said that various communities in the Federal Republic of Nigeria are currently overwhelmed by widespread invasion by heavily armed Fulani herdsmen who have engaged in systematic and reckless grazing of cattle on cultivated agricultural lands, destruction of crops, attacks, abduction, and killings of farmers, rape of their women and daughters, and in many cases involving complete sack and displacement of entire communities. Let me point out here, as a background, that many of us here are Igbos. We know that in ancient Igbo times till now, traditionally and culturally speaking, it is a taboo, in fact in those days punishable by banishment for you as a cattle owner, whether it be a cow or goat or sheep or whatever, to leave it from where you're supposed to have tethered it and allow it to go and graze in another person's land. It is a cultural offense. So we need to understand the background from where the Igbos are coming in making the position that they are making. And that was precisely what we presented to the National Assembly at the open hearing, at the public hearing on a grazing bill. Now, the Fulani herdsmen are presently classified as the fourth most deadly terrorist organization in the world, after ISIS, Al-Shabaab, and Boko Haram. Incidentally, both Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen operate in Nigeria. Recent revelations show an unmistakable collaboration between the last two. Boko Haram itself began as a political instrument of some northern politicians until ISIS became its major patron. But it appears that Boko Haram is now being integrated with the Fulani herdsmen. In recent times, the movement of these terrorist groups into the southern parts of Nigeria increases daily, just as sophisticated military equipment are being shipped to the south, with increased terrorist attacks in several parts of the south. It has been firmly established that what is afoot is a jihad being waged by the Fulani Muslims in the guise of herdsmen. The heavily armed Fulani herdsmen include both Fulani citizens of Nigeria and other Fulani from other West African countries, such as Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cameroon. There is hardly any state in Nigeria which has not witnessed the horrors inflicted by these Fulani herdsmen armed with AK-47 and other sophisticated weapons. Indeed, the grazing bills which surfaced in the National Assembly since the last 2 years appear to be an attempt to provide legal backing to the entire operation of Muslim takeover of Nigeria. In the process, Alaibo appeared to be one big obstacle that must be crossed. Thus, our people have experienced a lot of horrors, murder, rape, kidnappings, abduction, and destruction of farmlands. There is no state in Alaibo that has not been invaded or invaded by these murderous Fulani headsmen. Therefore, opposition to the grazing bill is a serious, necessary, and urgent political obligation and exercise. The enormity of the challenge becomes obvious when viewed against the forces that are behind the headsmen. Recent studies have shown that about 60% of the Fulanis in Nigeria are governors, pastors, imams, MS, sultan, House of Rep members, importers, exporters, ministers, oil well owners, lecturers, vice chancellors, ministers, senators, and what have you. Indeed, important persons in the country. In a nutshell, the Fulani control over all sectors of northern economy. These rich Fulanis own all the cattle being reared in Nigeria. ADF has been very active in the campaign against grazing bills in the two arms of the National Assembly, which seek to establish grazing routes, grazing reserves, ranches, and more recently, grazing colonies. ADF position was made clear at two public hearings of the National Assembly, namely at both the Senate and House of Representatives. ADF position was later published as advertorial in national dailies. Copies attached are made available to the press. This has gone very far in inspiring federal legislators from Alaibu to join in the opposition. It is obvious, ladies and gentlemen, that the struggle should go beyond the National Assembly to include states' houses of assembly. Two states in Nigeria, like we said earlier, namely Ekiti and Benue states, have passed anti-open grazing bills, which they have stoutly been defending against bloody Fulani attacks. The anti-open grazing bill is most desired in Alaibu. Hence, ADF decided to partner with CACLD, International Consciousness Agency for Civil Leadership and Development, to spearhead the campaign for the passage of the anti-open grazing bill in the 7 Igbo-speaking Houses of Assembly. Let me pause to state here that the bill is not anti-grazing bill, it is anti-open grazing bill. However, passage of the bill is one thing, its enforcement is another. Its enforcement must involve a movement of the people, since the powerful forces behind the Fulani headsmen and their activities are in control of the security forces and indeed political forces in Nigeria. At an emergency meeting of our Alaibu Development Foundation held on the 20th day of January 2018, at the head office of the foundation under the distinguished chairmanship of the ADF National President, Professor Timothy Zodimanwala, the ADF charged its legal bureau with the responsibility of studying the recently passed open grazing prohibition laws of Benue and the Ekiti states and come up with a draft bill to the same effect and make recommendations to the ADF on strategies to encourage and support the state's House of Assembly within Alaibu to ensure the passage of the bill into law by each House of Assembly of the 7 Igbo-speaking states of Nigeria within the shortest possible time. The ADF Legal Bureau has accomplished the task, and you now have a draft anti-open grazing bill for submission to the 7 states. Indeed, as a matter of fact, the bills have been forwarded to the states through their governors and the speakers of the various Houses of Assembly, and copies will be made available to members of the press today. In view of the peculiar and republican nature of Ndibo, especially our political leadership at the state levels, it is generally believed that the actualization of the project needs to be strategically planned. It must be emphasized that what ADF is doing is like citizens' advocacy in support of the political will of both our assemblies and our executive governors. The draft bill is hereby attached. Also attached is the ADF advertorial of its submissions to the National Assembly. Essentially, what the bill is all about is to seek to control the grazing by cattle. We are saying that the practice of moving cattle openly in the streets and in various communities, and whereby cattle go into people's farms and destroy and damage them, is not only improper, not only outmoded, but in fact should not be a practice in modern war. So the bill seeks to encourage and to urge our assemblymen to pass law to prohibit open grazing and restrict cattle rearing to ranches. Gentlemen of the press, this is a copy of the bill, and I formally present the copy to you, sir. Thank you very much. So in conclusion, sir, beyond making this press statement, we know that a bill of this nature calls for the active involvement, participation, and support of everybody, particularly the press, so that our assemblymen can see the need, the necessity, and the urgency for the bill to be passed, for the protection of our people, for the protection of our land, and for the protection of our future. Thank you, gentlemen.
Distinguished colleagues, you have heard him. It is time for us to also do the needful. If there are places or some of the paragraphs, as has been presented by the ADF, that is not clear or that we want to some clarifications about, it's time for questions and answer. So if we have any question now, please indicate by raising up your hand and then throwing your question.
My name is Michael Ilediago. Michael, I report for Dream 92.5 FM. Although I'm yet to see the draft of the bill, but one question I want to ask: why coming up with this draft? Do you take into consideration of what the effect could be? One, do you take into consideration of how we can manage the effect? That is number two. The third one, using the experience of the states that have passed this bill, do you have any provision of or suggestions where our states will not form a victim of the same fate? Taking Benue State, for instance, and the massacre of the people in Benue State. The last question, sir, when you look at the bill, at the level of enforcement, how are we going to make sure that this thing is enforced? Is it being addressed in the bill? You're looking at enforcing the bill when it becomes law, looking at this federal security outfit. Is this something we still leave for the federal security agents to enforce, or are we going to have our own local security outfit to enforce it? Thank you, sir.
Wonderful questions. Now, what we have done with the best of intentions and the best of conscience. We are looking at what is in the best interest of our people. We have studied the situation. Not too long ago, a community was sacked Nimbo in Nsukka, and there are many other communities that have been adversely affected. So we cannot cross our legs and continue to cry and continue to complain and continue to wail while this wanton destruction continues to go on. We must have to, one way or the other, try to find a way to legitimately contain it. We have not said we are going to take to the streets. What we are saying is that our state assembly should look at the situation. That indeed is the essence of lawmaking. Law is meant to address developments in the society when they come up. And that is why we have lawmakers. They are coming from constituencies where I'm sure, and I do know, that the Nimbo community and other communities that have been affected by these things have members, not only the National Assembly, but also in the States of Assembly. And without this bill even coming, but they are coming from us, they ordinarily on their own ought to have made steps like this, just like Benue State did and some other states. So in other words, we are not anticipating adverse or lethal or fatal reactions or threats as they have pointed out. But if they come, then when we get to the bridge, we pray for wisdom from God to know how to handle it. And then talking about comparison to what what has happened in Benue State. We share your fears because indeed there have been reports by cattle headsmen, their umbrella body, that the attacks, the subsequent and recent attacks in Benue is as a result of the bill that was passed. That is rather unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate. And it's our prayer that such reaction should not come here. And that's the more reason why we say that it is better if the entire states, Igbo-speaking states, should do this simultaneously. We are aware that Anambra State is already in the direction. They are doing something like that. So we don't want a situation where they are targeted and isolated and attacked. Let it be, like the paper pointed out, more like a mass movement of the people, a general demand that this is what we want. And if we as a people, as a nation, the Igbos are a nation, if we as a people, as a nation say, this is what we want to protect our people, to protect our farms, to protect our women, to protect our children, to protect our future. And then the headsmen say they are coming against us as a people, then let them come and finish us and let the world watch. Are you understanding me, my brother? And then, okay, I think, what's your third question again? I didn't take note of it. Have I answered in the course of it? Thank you very much. I think my brother wants to add something to it.
Well, in Diago, your destiny is very, very clear and punching. But one thing the bill will also address is a pattern of ensuring that the laws are obeyed, implementation. And this is why everybody is clamoring for restructuring in Nigeria. And ADF has written, and we are very serious about the level of restructuring we want. And the kind of restructuring we want is the one that we will restructure the security. And whether anybody likes it or not, this bill, we need to create our own level of security. The vigilante, the law supports that. In Benue now, you are already aware that the vigilante service in Benue is very strong, and they have started countering the Fulani herdsmen. And so it is very clear that we cannot just make this type of bill, especially when the IGP, that's the Inspector General of Police, has told the world that if you are making this type of bill, you should be ready for the attack. So if you have said that, we would be stupid to make a bill that will not take care of such a thing. Thank you very much.
And it is also imperative to point out, please, that the issue of land by the Land Use Act is vested in the governors. So it is not in the exclusive list of the federal government. The governors have the right and indeed the responsibility and the duty to make laws relating to the land. Thank you.
I really want to commend your organization for this laudable effort you're making to ensure that such a bill is passed in the Southeast. But I am worried. I'm worried in the sense that the type of governors we have in the Southeast are such people that will always run to the caliphate for assistance. And the type of legislators we have in the Southeast are such people that are under the apron strings of the governors. And without these two sets of people, this bill cannot see the light of day. So what effort are you making to interface with our governors and the legislators to ensure that this bill is passed?
Question that requires standing up answer, because it's a very sensitive matter. Indeed, we are not unmindful of what you've talked about relating to our governors and the relationship with the caliphate, and it is rather unfortunate. But as pressmen, we all know how bills are made, that we are not forcing the assembly. It's our responsibility, like rightly pointed out, to interface with them, not only the governors, but also the speakers and members of the assembly, and make them serious and convince them, lobby them, so to speak, to see that it's their responsibility to protect their people. If a leader has lost the ability to secure and protect his people, then hasn't he lost the right to continue to be called a leader? Of course he has. But we have, like I said earlier, we have sent out letters to them, a cover note accompanying this bill, requesting for audience with them, to talk with them, with prayer and conviction, to ensure that they see this with us. that they rise up to their responsibility. And then for the assemblymen also, to see themselves, it's rather unfortunate that we are in a country where the legislature that ordinarily should be the sovereign, that should be controlling the executive, is now under the control of the executive. Otherwise, when a legislature decides that this is what it should do, who is a governor or even a president to stop them? So we also have the duty to let our legislators know that this is what your duty is. We educate them, we inform them, we persuade them, we lobby them. And we believe that with the people also on our side. And that is where you gentlemen of the press are here, where you are involved. It's also your responsibility to take copies of this bill, give it a positive digestion and a positive publicity in the press. Let the whole people see it. Let the whole people understand what it's all about. So that when it is raised on the floor of the assembly, and any assemblyman is saying anything contrary to what the bill says, you are the constituent, you can request audience with the person and make them, or indeed force them, to do the right thing. Happily, election is coming. So it's a good point for election. Thank you.
I want to know why you decided to pursue this bill alone, because I know that in Igbo land we have Ohanes and Igbo, and that is the umbrella body of Igbo that other Nigerians know about. Because if you are saying, for instance, ADF is championing this bill, some people may even listen twice before they know the group you are talking about. But if you say Ohanese, people will take it more seriously. And then, secondly, related to what the issue my brother Emma raised about, the character of our political class, they are weak. We know that. What you are doing, is it not putting the cat before the horse? For instance, you talked about what happened at Nimbo. We know that the state government set up a panel of inquiry, or judicial panel of inquiry, to look into that Nimbo incident. They have submitted their report long ago, but up to today, no white paper has been issued by the state government on that incident. Whereas the one that happened in Kaduna State involving the Shai people, as soon as El Rufai got the report of the judicial panel, he issued a white paper on it. So how do you intend to achieve your goal, knowing the character of these people we are talking about?
Thank you. That we are not unmindful of what you have rightly identified with your colleagues as the character of our political leaders. But the point is this: I think when we make these statements, with due respect to all of us, we are also indicting ourselves. With due respect to all of us. If we have elected, or we are led to elect these people as our leaders and as our representatives, and they are misleading us or leading us astray, are we going to keep quiet and continue waiting until we are slaughtered and we are pursued away from our ancestral homes? Thank God the election is coming. Are we asking ourselves questions as indigents of this part of the world, of this part of the country? Are we calling to question the character of leaders who have been elected? Because when I move around Enugu and other capital states, I still see continuity everywhere. In other words, we are singing their praises. We are telling them continue. So what are we telling ourselves? So we should also put these questions back to ourselves in every capacity in which we are, as a pastor, as a journalist, as a lawyer, as a teacher, as a doctor. The person representing you, is he representing you well in whatever capacity is representing you? That said, we cannot continue to wait for Haneze, and the entirety of the interest of Alaibo is not exclusively rested on Ohaneze. Ohaneze cannot do it alone. Ohaneze cannot do everything. There are other bodies in other parts of the country, and there are many associations taking issues as they arise. They don't leave the responsibility of everything under one particular body. Ohaneze may not be able to do everything alone. So if ADF has identified this point of need and is taking upon it, what I expect Ohaneze to do is to actively encourage and support ADF. And where they fail to do that, I repeat, where they fail to do that, then let it become clear to all of us where they stand. Posterity shall judge all of us. Thank you very much.
Well, I think the question of Ohaneze, we will add something so that it becomes clear that we are not contesting the position of Ohaneze, because if we do not address this clearly, I know that some people may think that this is the issue. We are not contesting with them. But if you take Lagos West, that's Southwest, for instance, you will see that they have Afenifere, they have Odua People's Congress, they have the Council of Elders, they have the Renewal Movement, and these people do things in synergy. This address, this thinking that Ndibo should all subdue themselves under Ohanaeze is evil. If we do not, there must be some activist group in Alibo so that we will be able to do the things we are doing. It is only in Alibo that when somebody is doing something that is very serious, people will now go and say you are not under Ohanaeze, and then from there people will be talking, ridiculing ourselves. There is no time again for us. If you don't know that there is war, please know that there is. Because by the time they finish with the Benue people, the next place in the southeast. And the first place in the southeast is Enugu and perhaps Ebonyi. The other day, you people reported to us that they killed some people in there and left the knife on that person's head. What a gruesome way of killing. And people said we should be fearing. What kind of fear? Are we alive? We're already dead if we be afraid of such people. And I tell you, we must be very, very serious, because if we are not, if we take these things lying low, we will stay in Enugu here, people will overrun us. Let's get prepared. Some days ago, T.Y. Danjuma made this thing on Saturday. And Danjuma was one of them, I will say, but he has seen the truth. And we are saying we should be afraid to voice out, even only voicing out, to take legislation, even if it is only legislation, and we are saying we should leave them. Please, we will not leave anybody to come and take over our land. I have no other place to go. I'm from Igbo land, and I will stay here and ensure that no mad cattle herdsman comes to this place to take over the place. I will fight with the last drop of my blood.
I am Maurice Okaf. I write for the Authority newspaper. Last speaker, I'm overwhelmed with your statement. T.Y. Danjuma has seen it all. He was in the army, retired general, chief of army staff. And after all these things that are happening, you are taking laws, you are pleading for laws, a bill to be made. He has said it all, Nigerians should defend themselves. Please, in your own view, are you telling your people to defend themselves now?
ADF.
What is the view? Thank you.
I'm a titled person in my community, and as a titled person, I don't need to talk putting my tongue inside my cheek. I don't do like that. A man will only die for one day, and I can assure you I will not even die when I'm fighting for justice, because they are not the creators of human beings and they are not the owners. What we are even saying in this bill is that the Igbo people, everywhere they speak Igbo, the Igbo nation, should defend themselves. That's what the bill is saying. We are first of all trying to use legislation to defend our people. And when it goes beyond that, we are not kids, we know what to do.
For your information, by October this year, are you hearing me use? Yes. It's because of you I'm still struggling. Because I've got children and grandchildren, and maybe soon great-grandchildren. Before I make my comments, I want to draw your attention that the chairman of ADF addressed only gentlemen of the press. But I see some ladies here.
No, but we are all men.
All men. Okay, so you're like lawyers then. Having said that, somebody said, Ohanaeze is the umbrella body. When your umbrella tears, what do you do? You buy another one. I'm a member of Ohanese, Imobi. I've been in that association for over 30 or 40 years. During the time of so I've seen that.
One house.
People have disappointed us. We have to seek alternative. That is why this meeting. Listen, I'm not afraid of death because I'm going to be 83 years in October this year. 83. So there should be a mechanism for recalling people who are not representing us well. We can't continue to clap and dance when they are not doing the right thing. It is time you youths wake up from your slumber.
Yes, sir.
You have no future in this country at this rate.
Yes, sir.
If you don't stand up for yourselves, you will be there in your house. They will come, take your wife, take your children, your babies, rape them, and you know. My dear, I was born and bred in the north. I never lived in this place until I got married. Some people don't know I'm not the northern, some of them. But we have lost our image, our psyche. And we must get it back in this generation.
Amen.
Amen. By the grace of God, we will answer our day. Igbo Union. I am appealing to you, boys and girls. Fight for your future. Fight for your future. Otherwise, they go. I'm speaking in Nsukka now.
Chief Mrs. Okwa, one of the foundation members of Alibo, of course, had been in Ohanese as well, in Imobi. She has shared a wealth of experience with us. So thank you for being here this evening. So on that note, may I please invite Emma Nzomiwu to please give us a vote of thanks.
Alibo Development Foundation, we thank you for coming here today because what the efforts you are making is not for your foundation alone, it's for the entire Ndigo. We had long expected our people to approach this issue of Fulani herdsmen this way. Like the speaker pointed out, as soon as they are through with Benue State, the next place is Enugu State, and it shows the urgency and the importance of what we are doing, and we promise to give you every support in fighting this cause, because we are for the fact that we are all endangered if nothing is done about this matter. Imagine the other day, T.Y. Danjuma, we know him, he's not the type that talks anyhow or speaks anyhow, but he came out and told Nigerians to go and defend themselves, because if they don't defend themselves, what will happen to them? They will die. So like I said earlier, we will give you every support in fighting this matter. Even at, like the doc said earlier, that he was ready to lay down his life for this matter. We're also ready to lay down our lives to make sure that what you are doing comes to fruition. Thank you very much.
At this point in time, thank you for the wonderful press briefing which we had this evening. Father King of Glory, Alibo Development Foundation is fighting a cause which we journalists have pledged, O Lord Jehovah, to help them fight through our pen. Father, we pray, O Lord Jehovah Nissi, that it will be successful in the name of Jesus. Amen. Fight our cause, O Lord Jehovah, and of Igbo people. This and many more we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.